Welcome. Today we are discussing sharpening here, which is a very important part, of course, of sharpening, and it might have been the first video in this video series, but we're just doing it now. And yeah, so usually my students have many questions about what sharpening guides to buy, what sharpening stones are the best ones, are they really worth the price tag, flattening methods, all of that we're going to discuss today. But first I wanted to begin with a core idea that you really need to establish in your head, which is you should make friends with sharpening. Okay, sharpening is not something you get out of the way in order to do woodworking. All right, sharpening is woodworking, and incidentally sharpening is as much woodworking as brooming the floor and ordering your tools and all of those things that we usually tend to consider inferior and neglect them. And in my comprehension of woodworking, those are very, very important things. Okay, so let me give you an idea, which is you should always be ready for sharpening, and it should always be as comfortable and clean as you possibly can do it. Okay, because this way you are less likely to put it off, which is a very common mistake, especially among beginners, also among advanced woodworkers. But then you're using tools that are not performing at their best. A dull chisel, as you know, is more dangerous than a sharp chisel because you need more force and you're going to lose control. So lots of accidents happen with dull tools. And of course, you're not going to get at your peak performance using tools that are not at their, peak performance. So over there, I have my own sharpening station, which is always set and always ready for sharpening. So when I'm working here in my main workbench, as you know, sometimes you're ready to, you're planing the final shapings of your piece. You've been working on it for a long time, and then you start getting tear out because maybe there's a knot or it's complicated timber to plane. And then if you don't stop and resharpen, you're gonna mess it and disturb it all the more. Okay, so a very nice idea is to have replacement blades for your planes so that you can just switch them and continue. Okay, and the other one is have always your sharpening station if you can. Not all of you can, because sometimes you're working in very narrow spaces, and then you need to convert your workbench in a sharpening station. And this is when the first piece of gear comes into play. This is rubber, it's black rubber. I don't know if it has any more special name, but it's very good because it makes your workbench into a waterproof station, and it has some grip, so your stones won't slip so much with the water. So that's a very convenient way of doing this. And I'm still working on a workbench that is a provisional sharpening station for me. I haven't made my own sharpening station. That's going to be one of the many projects we are going to do in the membership. So you can tune in for that. I don't know when that particular one's going to happen, but we'll definitely do it because I need my final sharpening station. Okay, so after the rubber, then you've got the stones, and I want to spend some time now discussing different kinds of stones and what they have in common, what are their pros and cons, so that you can make your own informed decisions. Okay, first of all, I don't have any example here, but there are these traditional oil stones that you find at hardware stores, and these, I should warn you, you should never use them for fine woodworking, in my opinion, for two reasons. One is that they work with oil, and the metal particles they get mixed with the oil oil, and they create kind of a black slurry that it stains everything, and everything becomes mucky and very disgusting. So I wouldn't use them just for that, but also they are very hard and they're difficult to flatten. In addition to all this, you don't have the full range, or it's not usually available, the full range of grits, especially the finer grits are usually not there, so I wouldn't use them, okay? These man-made oil stones. Then we have Japanese water stones that are an amazing technology. They are very interesting. I have two here. This one here, I have it on water because Japanese water stones, they need to be immersed in water for a while, usually until they stop releasing bubbles, okay? And that takes about 5 or 10 minutes. Some of them you can store them in water, and others you can't because they would kind of melt. So you should read the manufacturer's instructions. And Japanese water stones are very efficient for a particular reason. The grit in these stones is very abrasive, but it is very weakly linked, meaning it crumbles away when you start sharpening. It will crumble away, and it creates this slurry that you will see in a minute, and it helps very much having more abrasion, okay? And also this means that you have always new particles of grit emerging to the surface as this one is worn out, and those are very sharp. You can imagine them as stones with very sharp corners, so they're always new and always fresh. So in combination with the Japanese water stone, you get the nagura. Nagura is this tiny stone which has two functions. One is to create this slurry, and you see here that I have this mix. It's half nagura and half the stone, which is darker, and so this slurry here is what makes it to cut very, very quickly from the beginning. But also you can use the nagura to remove metal particles that are embedded in the surface, and they clog the stone sometimes, okay? So this is why they work so well, okay? But there's a counterpart. Let me show you the thing in action. I'm gonna send my chisel into my honing guide, and you can see here, I don't know how well you can see this, but I from the very beginning, okay, that's a squeaking sound from the stone, from the guide. From the very beginning, I removed lots of metal. If the stone was lighter, you would see the tracks very clearly, okay? Now, the drawback of Japanese water stones is that they have this problem, which is they get out of flat very quickly. That's because, you know, you're losing lots of particles very quickly. But that's not a big deal because we can flatten them incredibly easily. So I will show you this in a minute. First, let me finish with the stones, and we'll get there. So this one here, as you can see, this one is a double stone. It's 1,000 and 6,000. It's moderately priced, and it's a very good option for my students, for beginners, because with I think it's 56 euros, you will find the link down below to this stone. 56 euros, and you get the combination of the two main stones you're going to be using most of the time. I would say 98% of the time. So that's a very inexpensive way to go about it, and it's good enough to give you the performance you need, especially as a beginner, okay? You could also buy them separately. You see, this one is also made by King, also known as Sun Tiger. I think it's the same, exactly the same product, and you can get them separated so that you can have this inexpensive 800 grit stone, which is very good at lots of stock removal, metal removal, when you're destroying the fine bevel. And remember, you have this chisel sharpening video already available to you, where I discuss the whole sharpening process for chisels and the 3 bevel method, the principles behind it. And to destroy the fine bevel, you want a heavy grit, a coarse stone, but you're not producing the cutting edge at that stage. And that's why you can use a rather inexpensive stone. And the only criteria, the only need, is to have it working as fast as it possibly can. And then you can spend your good money in a fine honing stone, which is the one that will produce your fine cutting edge. So here's where you want to spend a little bit more, if you can. But also Sun Tiger, they have this 6,000 stone, just like this one here, but separate. And that could be enough for any beginner, okay? As soon as you get a little bit more advanced, you will want to put your money in a fine honing stone, which will probably be around 10,000, 12,000, even up to 16,000, depending on the brand and the manufacturer. There is one I would recommend to you. I don't have it here, but it's the blue NANIWA, which is they have several ranges. The really nice professional one, I don't remember the name, but has a sea animal in there. And you will find the link down below. I tried it once and I was amazed. And I know professional Japanese woodworkers that they use that stone to produce their finest edges. And really it's a very spectacular piece of equipment. Okay. Then moving on, we have diamond stones. Diamond stones, their strength is that they will never get out of flat, all right? Because basically they are a piece of steel which is coated on one side with diamond grit. And that's very useful sometimes when you need a stone that will never get dull. Also, diamond is super hard, so you could use it in theory to flatten other stones or to dress them. So that could be another good use of a diamond stone. But there's a downside with them, which is the diamond particles here. If they are poorly adhered to the substrate, they will fall off. And that's what happens with cheap diamond stones. And expensive diamond stones, they keep the grit much better. But you have to imagine these again as little stones of diamond that are adhered here. They're, I think literally they are glued in place or something like that. And they will eventually get dull. It doesn't matter how hard diamond is, eventually they will get dull. And then they will start to work very slowly. And that's why I don't use them. Okay, some people like to use them, but I myself find them not so efficient as Japanese water stones. But you could use them. And sometimes, of course, they come in very handy. And finally, I have my most favorite stones for those of you who have deeper pockets, or for those of you who are professional, which are these ceramic water stones. There are different kinds, and there are several manufacturers making ceramic stones. Some of them are ceramic particles embedded in what they call a clay matrix, which helps flattening them, because the clay matrix, it's easier to flatten than ceramic, okay? And that's the downside of ceramic stones. They are very hard. They take a lot of use to go out of flat, but they are more difficult to flatten. You will see now when we get to the flattening gear. you will need specialized gear for flattening ceramic stones. I love them. This one is from SHAPTON, and they come in a glass plate, and that's fantastic, really. Super efficient. I will show you now in a minute. You will see very clearly that from the first stroke you get lots of abrasion. And by the way, I don't need to soak them in water, and that's very clean, and it avoids the whole mess of water and so on. So for me this is very convenient because I have lots of tools to sharpen regularly and I want to be as efficient as possible. Okay, so let me show you this. So as you can see, right from the beginning we get lots of abrasion, and you can see these black stripes, which are actually metal particles that are being left in the stone, and so they are incredibly effective. Ceramic is a very powerful abrasive, and they are fantastic, and they are very well made. The grit is very even or very pure. Usually you find in this in catalogs or on the internet, usually your supplier discusses the purity of stones, and you could get stones that have lots of different grits, and they are sold maybe as a 1000 grit stone, but that's the kind of the average of all of those different grits. If the stone is very pure, the size of every particle is going to be the same, and this is much better for sharpening. It will give you a much more even wear and a more precise result, more or less, so to speak. And that's why usually the more expensive stones are also the purest. Okay. Of course, I'm not discussing natural waterstones. Japanese natural waterstones, in my opinion, they should be left for Japanese woodworkers, people who really know, who have the training and they know of the woodworking culture of Japan, and because those are very precious items, they are incredibly expensive, and we should leave them for those who really know about how to use them and their cultural value. Okay, we should respect different cultures, woodworking cultures, and not, very usually we just steal ideas and we kind of downgrade them and mix them with other stuff, and eventually you get bad woodworking culture. Okay, so we should avoid that, in my opinion. Yeah, these are expensive, I must say that, but they are a very, very good choice if you have the money. That's what I would buy nowadays for myself, because I have to sharpen a lot. And one of my next stones that I'm going to buy in the future, quite possibly next year, is the 16,000 stone. This one is the 1000, which I would use to work on the middle bevel, to destroy the finer bevel, but to create the best possible edge. I think my option nowadays would be the 16,000 Shapton, which I don't have yet, and I think that's gonna make a difference. But as I was saying, from 6,000 to 16,000, the difference won't be very noticeable for an amateur or for a beginner. You get that little bit of extra performance when you really know about this, when you want to get really special finishes, particularly in curly timber and things like that. Okay, so that's the waterstones. Let's go with honing guides, which is one of the subjects that you have lots of questions about. So the cheapest one I can recommend to you is the ECLYPSE-TYPE honing guides. These are usually inexpensive, but if you go to Amazon and buy a €5 piece of junk, you're gonna get really an unusable piece of junk. So don't do that, okay? This one is fairly inexpensive at around 20 euros, and it's much better made. Usually the really bad ones are all wobbly, and they're not reliable, okay? This one has a brass wheel, which I like because it won't rust on you, and it can make you happy for a long time. Okay, you could sharpen quite possibly 90 or 95% of your tools. Certainly most plane blades and most chisels will fit in here, but not all, and I will tell you about this in a moment. Now these they have two compartments, okay, and the idea is that for chisels or narrow tools you go to the down compartment here, and you set your projection that will give you any angle, which is from the cutting edge to this surface here, okay? And when you set it right, you will get the angle you want, okay? But for plane blades, you need a whole different set of projections, because plane blades, they go on this upper compartment here. And so since you're changing the height from the wheel to the blade, you need a full different set of projections to get the same angles. And so students tend to muddle these up very commonly, and that's usually a cause of problems sometimes. But once you get to know this one, that's not a big deal anymore. So that could be a very good entryway. If you're tight on a budget, for 20 euros you get your honing guide. You could sharpen freehand. Some people do this, but I like repeatability, consistency in my work. If you're always honing at the same angles, you will get always the same results in the quickest possible way. So that's a very important thing for me. The quickest you can sharpen without losing quality and without getting stressed, of course, the better. The less likely you are to put it off again. Okay? Now, if you have very narrow chisels like this one, this is an 1/8 of an inch chisel, very fine, made by Blue Spruce. This one is just too small to fit in here. And you can see how it rattles about inside, and it's not going to be able to be held in place here by this guide. And that's why we could want to buy another one, which is this one. It's nearly the same thing. It's also a side clamping guide, but it's superior in quality. This one is moderately priced, let's call it that way. And it has this funny, interesting shape here, which will allow you to grip incredibly thin chisels. If you ever happen to have a 2mm chisel, I think somebody is also producing a 1/16 of an inch chisel, which is extremely small. You could grip them here because of this interesting shape we have. And as you can see, it's very well gripped in place, and that's going to be a very good option. That one is made by Veritas. Also, you have the links down below. Again, brass wheel, same things, but the thread is finer. The materials are in general superior, so it's a little bit better than the other one. And it still has two compartments, so you still have a chance to muddle things up here with the projections. Now, the next one I wanted to discuss is this one here, which is my favorite guide. This one is made by LIE-NIELSEN, and their idea is to create something that will hold most of their plane blades, and that's the most versatile of all. As you can see, there are no perfect honing guides, okay? There's no perfect solution for everything, but manufacturers try and give you the fullest possible range of work holding capabilities. So what these people have done is creating jaws that are removable, and I like them very much. So I can, as you can see, take them apart. Everything is stainless steel, so nothing's gonna rust, and these screws are amazingly well machined, and they're captive, so they're not going to fall off as you work. You know, LIE-NIELSEN's game basically is to give you the best possible quality no matter the price. So if you're ready to pay the price, they really go the extra mile for you, and I have great respect for these people. So now you see these long jaws are ideal for the blade I'm going to show you in a second. As you can see, it takes a little while to convert the tool, but you know, these additional jaws are only for very strange things, blades that you won't usually be sharpening all the time. Okay, things like spoke shave blades, shoulder plane blades, skewed blades, this kind of thing, which doesn't see so much work as your average chisels. They also have special jaws for mortise chisel, which I find them very, very useful. But not all mortise chisels will fit in them, so they are very good for the LIE-NIELSEN mortise chisels, at least. And you see, this is a replacement blade for a shoulder plane, and it has this funny shape, and it won't be able to be held in an average honing guide. But this one, with the extended jaws, will allow you to get this in here at the right projection, and you'll be able to use it for honing, as you can see. So these are very nice, and I found these very useful. Of course, the downside is that this is very expensive, so sometimes it's difficult to justify for amateurs unless you really know what you're buying and you are ready to pay the price for it. But this is the one I would get for myself, and if you get this, you will never have to buy another one in your life. I don't know of any honing jig that is more versatile than this one. Let's discuss flattening methods now. Of course, a stone that is not flat will produce a really bad result, and it will distort your tools. So you really need to keep them flat, and usually I reflatten them every 3 sharpenings. So every 3 chisels or 3 plain blades, I stop and reflatten. If you do it that often, you will find that it's no work at all. Okay, and we have several methods. One is to get a granite plate, just like this one. This one I got it at Dieter Schmidt, I think, years ago, and it's a very good one. A little bit too large for stone flattening, but I use it also to check the flatness of some planes and other things. You will get at Dictum a smaller one that comes in combination with abrasive paper, and you could use any abrasive paper, which usually is silicon carbide abrasive or metal sandpaper, wet and dry sandpaper, and you just put a little bit of water underneath, and this helps keeping it you know, flat and not moving. And then that's what you do. You remove the slurry, and I use a pencil, which I like a mechanical pencil for this. I scribble on it, and then when I remove the pencil, I know I'm completely flat. So I come in here, and I will go I will rub it, making pressure on center. Okay, and being careful not to distort it or to create, you know, a round surface, but that's not difficult. little bit more. Yeah, and that's done. As you can see, all the pencils gone. And that was, I don't know, 15 seconds, something like that, 30 seconds at the most. So that's fairly quick, especially when the sandpaper is new. You could also use for flattening, in combination with your sandpaper, 15mm thick float glass. As long as it is massive float glass and it's 15mm thick, it will be very flat, inherently flat because of the way they make it, okay? If you get it thinner than that, you will find out that it's a little bit flexible and it might adapt to the distortions of your bench. That could be another option, but it's not really much cheaper than getting a certified granite plate. So I myself, I would stay with the granite plate for this. But of course you can just order one and get it cut to size. And finally, we have dedicated lapping stones like this one. This one is made by NanoHone, and it's a diamond stone which has this texture here, which is not only very fancy, but also it helps removing the excess grit that you are cleaning up. And it's a little bit like the wheels in cars, you know, they have this pattern to make sure all the mud in the road and water gets removed. So that could be the idea. And this helps being very, very efficient. Since this is diamond, it's a very hard, of course, material, and it will be ideal for flattening ceramic stones. You could flatten ceramic stones on metal sandpaper, but you will find that the sandpaper gets completely ruined in a few goes. So it becomes a little bit slow and you will be replacing the sandpaper quite often. That's why I would get one of these for ceramic stones, or in general for every stone you need to flatten. This is a great thing. The cheaper ones are around 100 euros. I haven't tried them yet, but they should be good. The more professional ones are rather expensive, so you will need to think if you really want to put your money in there. But of course you really need some system to lap your stones, to dress them very often, so do think about that. Yeah, that's it. And still a little bit more, but it's been about, 10 seconds of work. Yeah, that's done. So this is as long as it takes, and you can see here the slurry created and all the white ceramic particles being removed. So very efficient, and I'm very happy with this one. Since I got it, I got rid of all the sandpaper and this huge block, and everything is a little bit more efficient for me. And when you have to sharpen all the tools I have to sharpen, that's a great thing. Okay, and last but not least, we need to tackle the issue of rust. Of course, we've been sharpening with water, lots of water, and you might get rust very quickly. So you need to dry your chisels thoroughly. And then I like to use Camellia oil, okay? Is this product here. It's cheap and it's non-toxic. Actually, they say the geishas in Japan, they used it to take care of their skin, while the woodworkers would use it for their tools. So that's a fairly natural product, I could say. And you could do the same thing with WD-40 or 3-in-1 oil, but those are less natural and not so good for your skin. So I really like to use this, and really it's not expensive. You don't need such a large bottle. I could buy the smaller one, which has also a small kind of tube for application, and I got it myself in this tiny bottle. And so to avoid getting it all over the place, what I do is I put it in this applicator, and I'll get just a little drop is enough for 1 day of cleaning tools. Okay, usually I would do this at the end of the day. Of course, now when we're sharpening, after sharpening, but then every day at the end of the day I go thoroughly to all my tools, and everything that might be susceptible of rusting, I apply a thin coat. The main idea is to get it as thin as possible, okay? Because thick camellia oil coats, they kind of harden, and then you have to remove them with alcohol, which is very easy, but it all becomes sticky and it's not very pleasing. And so if you do it in this way, this is an oil pot that I was given by a student who made it for me, and he made a core out of plastic. He turned it on the lathe so that I can cover it with a cloth, and you don't get oil in your hands. And this, I'm very excited to tell you about it. This is the prototype for a tool that I'm working on. It's not finished, but this contains felt, and it's so comfortable to use, and you can use it to rub the soles of your chisels, of your plane blades, and it glides beautifully, and I am very, very happy with this idea. We're going to change it a little bit, and we will create a tool for you. Actually, it's going to be one of the limited edition tools that we are planning to produce in the future for our advanced members in the membership here in YouTube. You know, if you get into the membership, there are different levels, and for the advanced level they get more perks. One of them is going to be access to my limited edition tools. So this one, it glides beautifully. The felt is so comfortable, and so you know, it just glides, where cloth tends to stick, and yeah, also the shape is amazing, and I'm very happy with this. So this is very pleasing, and yeah, anyway, you would do fine with a piece of cloth, with an old rag, but it's not so comfortable. Okay, so that's all the sharpening gear I think you need for sharpening, and I hope you found this useful. Please remember to give us a like. That's great help if you're feeling generous today. That's all we need from you. And if you want to know more things about woodworking, you can just go into our membership, and you'll find lots of projects and many things out there. Okay, see you in the next one.